Okay, I'm now going to do a demonstration of how to create an Alexa skill and hook it up to a conversation in Watson. So starting with this Alexa skill, we are assuming that you have already got an Alexa developer account and you have a Bluemix developer account. That in your Bluemix developer account you have created a Node-RED starter flow from the boilerplate, and you have created a conversation tile and a workspace and a dialogue within it. So all of those things should be true. Assuming that they are, we'll go to start with the Alexa flow, go to the Alexa tab, go to the Alexa skills kit. We're going to create a new skill. Start with add a new skill. We'll take you to the skill information page. That's this first page. On this first page, you type in a name of the skill. In this case, I call it Call Watson 2. You can call it whatever you want. The invocation name. In this case, I said Watson. When you use the invocation name, you will say Alexa ask and the name. In this case, Alexa ask Watson. Go to the next page, which is the interaction model. In the interaction model, you will set up an intent. The intent can be whatever you want. Suggestion is call Watson. It must be a command literal in this format. What this does is allow you to pass through whatever you say directly to Watson. The name of the utterance down here must match exactly the name of the intent here. This format, the do something, is just a phrase that it's going to use to teach the machine learning algorithm to interpret anything to match the command that you have sent in, which is a literal, and pass that directly through. So your intent should be in this format. This intent word, which we have here as call Watson, must match this intent word here. This phrase, we have do something. That's usually a pretty good phrase because it makes it fairly universal. Command here must match command here, and this name, command, and type literal must be exactly that. Anything wrong, any spaces out of place, anything that's incorrectly typed, and the model will not save, and you'll have to redo it. On the configuration page, which is the next page, you will select HTTPS North America. You will put in the location of your Node-RED server and /Alexa. Let's go to that page now. On your Node-RED server, so this is the Node-RED installation that you built here on your dashboard. You installed it from the catalog. I'll show that. So here on the catalog, you install the Node-RED starter. On the dashboard, you see that Node-RED Foundry. You go to that space. Here is the Node-RED workspace. You should have an Alexa flow. If you have to build one yourself, that's fine. We'll walk through the steps. You have a HTTP input socket. In this case, it is a post. /Alexa is the endpoint. So your complete endpoint name is, in this case, Jim's Node-RED demo space.mybluemix.net /Alexa, which, as you can see, is exactly what we put in over here. HTTPS Jim's Node-RED demo space.mybluemix.net /Alexa. Those two must be identical. So this is where it will enter the flow from your Alexa skill, and we'll go through how it gets back out here in a moment. Here on the endpoint, normally we say you don't want other users to create an account or link to an existing account with you. Global fields, you always select the second radio button. Bluemix has a subdomain from a certificate authority, which is IBM. And then the skill is enabled for testing. Now, before you can test it, you have to finish hooking up your Node-RED flow. So let's go back to that. In the Node-RED flow, you have your /Alexa here. You have a sort request. The sort requests, there are three types of requests that can come in from Alexa. The first is the launch request, meaning that the skill has been launched but no intent has been given. The intent request, meaning an intent has been given and is being passed into your Node-RED flow. And the session ended request, meaning that the session you've been given a command to end the session or it is timed out. If it is an intent request, it would be the call Watson intent that we have already discussed. Please ignore that other one. Alright. When this comes in, we have to modify the JSON packet so that the values that come in from Alexa are properly formatted for the conversation space. The three things we have to have for conversation are workspace, user, and the utterance. The first thing we do is get the workspace ID from Alexa, and then we get the user ID from Alexa. Now, the user ID may take some cleaning up for length. The next thing we do is see if we have a launch request. If we have a launch request, we may not have an utterance. Obviously, we have to have an utterance. So if we have a launch request, we go ahead and create a temporary message called hello to make up for the fact that we don't have an utterance. And then we put either hello or whatever our current utterance is from Alexa into that temporary message, and we log that as being the current utterance. Then we check to see, did this person say Watson when they didn't have to, i.e. if we said Alexa ask Watson, did it in fact get the word Watson into our utterance unnecessarily? If so, then we replace it. We record this being the current question, or last question asked, put the workspace ID into the proper parameters, create the actual return message, and return it. Once that goes into our conversation, it will come back out. Now let's look at the conversation. Conversation was again created in your dashboard. It's conversation tile. You go into the conversation itself. It's a workspace like this. Again, that would be your standard workspace. You do a standard conversation. This one's very simple. Only has a few dialogue nodes. It's hello, how are you feeling, and anything else. So in this case, it comes back. Now when it comes back, we must convert that JSON packet again to something that Alexa can understand. So we take the payload back out, we put it into this temporary variable. We take the output text, put it into a response. We take the context, put it into a context variable. We have to stringify these from object to string so we can work with them. Next thing we do is take off any commas that may be in the front of the value in case we have a run-on answer from the conversation. We check to see if the last question was a request for the person to end the conversation. If they said goodbye as an intent, for instance, then we want to stop. So if goodbye is the value of the intent, then we want to tell Alexa to end the conversation. We build the response message, telling it this is a plain text response and putting in whatever the actual response that they had was, and determining whether or not we want to end the session, yes or no, and then we create that response and send it back to Alexa. If all has worked correctly and everything has been configured correctly, you should be able to go in here and type in the word hello and call it and get back a valid response, which we have now done. So you can also turn this skill on in your Alexa at home and talk to it and do a round-trip conversation. So that is how you create an Alexa skill and link it up to your Watson conversation.